Hey guys, it's Stephen with Foxtrot Family Law. We're going to be talking about an evidentiary issue that comes up a lot in really any kind of case, but especially in child custody cases involving DHR. And that's called the Rule of Sequestration. You'll hear a lot of judges and lawyers refer to this simply as the rule. And it's misunderstood when it applies to DHR for this reason is the rule of sequestration excludes any potential witness from the courtroom except for parties. Now, why this gets confused when it comes to DHR is because DHR is a party in a DHR child custody case, but typically there's like three folks from, or if not more, 3 or 4 or 5 folks from DHR in the room. You've got a supervisor, you've got an initial investigator, you've got an ongoing worker. And here's why the rule of sequestration is especially important. And here's why hopefully this video is going to be helpful not only to you as a committed parent and caring relative in a child custody case, but also to any of my colleagues, practitioners, lawyers, stakeholders, CODGA workers, working in the field of child custody and especially with DHR. So the reason it's misunderstood is because it's been shortened so much, people just calling it, I'll invoke the rule, that they forget or maybe just take for granted what the rule actually is. So let's take a look at it. Where we're looking is Rule 615 of the Alabama Rules of Evidence. At the request of a party, the court may order witnesses excluded so that they cannot hear the testimony of other witnesses, and it may make the order of its own motion. This rule does not authorize exclusion of 1, a party who is a natural person, 2, an officer or employee of a party which is not a natural person designated as its representative by its attorney, 3, a person whose presence is shown by a party to be essential to the presentation of the party's cause, or 4, a victim of a criminal offense or the representative of a victim who is unable to attend when the representative has been selected by the victim's guardian, or the victim's family. Now, I apologize that that's a little bit wordy, so let's break that down. That's Rule 615 of the Alabama Rules of Evidence, and that's where we actually have the rule of sequestration. So let's break that down. 1, a party who is a natural person. If mom's on one side and dad's on the other side, then everybody gets to stay in the room. Both folks. But where we come into the specific issue that we're talking about is subsection 2, an officer or employee of a party which is not a natural person designated as its representative. That does not mean that every Tom, Dick, and Harry that works for DHR gets to hang out in the room during your hearing. It might be important that an investigator not have the same information or same story as the ongoing caseworker, as the supervisor, as the DHR worker that was on call when some initial incident occurred. This rule specifically applies and should specifically apply to make sure that they're not syncing up their stories in the courtroom because one person heard the last person testify. So make sure that either you or your lawyer is making sure that any potential witness is out of the courtroom, and especially with DHR, that DHR designates its one representative that may be in the courtroom at all times. I mean, for our purposes, we typically don't care who it is. We just want to make sure that DHR, just like anybody else, has to follow the law, has to follow the rules of evidence. Everybody's going to be playing by the same rules. This project, this process is going to be heartbreaking, challenging any way you get through it. But you certainly don't want DHR. You don't want your government to have an unfair advantage when they are trying to take your children away, or they are trying to impede or infringe on how you and your family do business on a day-to-day basis. I hope this is helpful to you and maybe even your lawyer if you already have one. If you don't, you can certainly contact us at Foxtrot Family Law. link below, www.thinkfoxtrot.com, or follow us on Facebook, contact us that way. Hope you like, comment, or subscribe below. And in the meantime, have a happy Thanksgiving, and we look forward to seeing you soon.